This is Failing Justice.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Failing Justice podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Carlson. Want to thank each and every one of you for listening in today. Another week here in the studio. Been a crazy week, been a crazy busy week for me, but nonetheless, I'm happy to be back here in the studio and able to come at you guys with another show. So, what is happening in our country? Everywhere you look, there's turmoil. The entire country is divided. Most of the vision come from the politicians that we think are going to save us. Who can afford anything anymore? The truth about our history is being erased. Violence has increased. Corruption has increased. Trust in our government and our justice system is completely eroded. And we are literally on many different fronts on the brink of war in America. What happened to the American dream of raising a family, having dinner together at night at the table and talking about your day, going to work at your job or career that could support your decent lifestyle? What happened to living in a home that you purchased that you didn't have an interest rate of 7.23% and climbing? What happened to coming home and mowing your lawn on Saturday and playing catch with your kid on the sidewalk without the fear of violence? We are all created equal in the sight of God, no matter what our skin color is, no matter what our religion is, no matter what our financial status is. This is a very familiar piece from a very important document that I want to remind everybody of. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments and instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. What will it take? How do we unite again? God forbid another tragedy like September 11th happen. We, the people, are sick and tired of this America, of this corrupt government. We are tired of the division. We have children that are growing up in this division. And I know for me, Justin Carlson, I want my children to grow up and live in the America that I knew when I was a child. We are selective on the crime that we want to be tough on. We put people in prison for less when people are walking free for more. Not only do we have a corrupt federal government, but it bleeds downward and affects our local governments. The oaths that are taken by our police officers, city and county officials, judges, district attorneys, they are not being taken for the people. These people are taking oaths to serve their friends and their donors and themselves. And because of this, the average citizen is terrified of the police. And it shouldn't be this way. I worked for a very corrupt county and city in Anderson County, Texas. And I should not have to tell my boys these things. My boys love police officers. I've been a police officer, a detective in law enforcement in some form or fashion my entire adult life. Those that follow me know my story since I was 18 years old. But when I have to explain to my boys why I left the police field, the law enforcement field, I have to explain to them, and that explanation, it involves the police are bad and they're doing wrong things. No one told me about bad cops when I was a child. I looked up to the police, and that's why I got into the profession to begin with. It's because I was surrounded by police officers in my family, and I respected the police, not because bad cops did not exist back then, because I fully believe that they did. It just didn't exist on this level. And when I have to explain to my boys that I had to leave the police profession because I had a bunch of piece of crap people that I worked with and for, that begins to also erode the trust of the innocent at such a young age. And it makes me angry. We have to wake up. America is literally in a state of destruction on so many fronts. And it's just we've become numb to it. Nothing changes because we have become numb to it. It's just accepted. Oh, our corrupt government does this. Our local police department does this. The district attorney does this. And we've just become numb to it. We have to unite. Different opinions oftentimes mean a war zone is created. We can still unify and have different opinions. That is one of the greatest things about our country, is we have the right to think and believe what we want. But for decades and centuries on end, we were still able to get along. I believe there are still good people in this country. Most people, I would say. Most people who want to live the American dream. Most people who want to have a life afford to put gas in their car, afford to put groceries in their car. Most people still want that. And we are letting it slip away little by little because we cannot wake up. We cannot unite. We cannot set our differences aside and come together and say, look, this is the America that I grew up in. This is the America that I'm going to take back. I want my kids to live in the same America that I lived in. I want for their lives to be better than this. But I think one thing is certain and that we can all agree is just we want to go back to the simpler times, the safer days, where I'm walking in the studio tonight with a gun strapped to my hip, looking over every shoulder because a police officer was pulled out of his car and shot downtown just a couple weeks ago. Those are things that we shouldn't have to worry about. And those are the kind of people that get to walk free. While we're putting people in prison, like I said, for much less. We're even putting the innocent people in prison. We have to do better. Who is Harrison Floyd? Let's talk about Harrison Floyd. And I want to say that I said it when I started doing video podcasts about a month ago. And I said that, I told my story. I told my story of the corrupt things that I've dealt with. I don't want to harp on my story. It's just my story, and I told it because I want people to know it. I want people to know that it exists. And if the corrupt things can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, and no one is above it. No one is above escaping it. You, your family members, your friends, your acquaintances, nobody. But I told you when I changed that the weekly, I was going to start coming at you weekly, and that I was going to be kind of implementing just national news and sometimes politics, because what have I always said? I believe it to my core. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. And unfortunately, politics, even though it's the biggest division in our country right now, it is the most important thing to talk about. Not if you're for Trump, not if you're for an individual, but that you're for right. Not that you're for Biden, not that you're for an individual, but that you're for right. And so I'm going to introduce you to Harrison Floyd. If you don't know who Harrison Floyd is, I'm going to tell you what's going on with him right now and just what kind of country we are in. Everyone knows Donald Trump has been indicted in multiple places. Everybody knows that. Harrison Floyd, also known as Willie Lewis Floyd III, he served as the director of Black Voices for Trump and is accused of recruiting Stephen Lee to arrange a meeting with election worker Ruby Freeman and Chicago-based publicist Travion Cootie. Freeman was in the midst of a harassment campaign by those falsely accusing her of fraud at the State Farm Arena on election night, according to the RICO indictment, that is, in Georgia. And prosecutors charged Floyd, Lee, and Cootie with trying to manipulate her under charges including conspiracy to commit solicitation of false statements and writing influencing witnesses. Floyd, along with 18 others, were falsely accused by Fani Willis and the Biden DOJ. Floyd Harrison was merely listening on the phone with whistleblower Ruby Freeman during her voluntary January 4th, 2021 police station body cam admission, where she shared her troubling concerns about ballots, no investigation, and improper use of USBs. On August 25th, Harrison Floyd had his arraignment hearing in Fulton County, Georgia, after the indictment. So this video is a little bit long, but I promise you it's worth your time to watch it. It's about 6 minutes long, but I want to play this video because Floyd was the only person out of 19 people that were indicted in Georgia in the Georgia election fraud RICO case. He was the only person that was denied bond. He was the only person that was denied a court-appointed lawyer, even though he asked for one and he couldn't afford one. Floyd was indicted amongst Trump, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, and even Rudy Giuliani. Watch this video.
Okay, hold on 1 second, Mr. Floyd. So I'm not taking any statements from you today, all right? So we're not dealing with that. What today is just where I advise you of your rights and advise you of the charges that have been brought against you, and then talk to you about your right to counsel and your appointment of counsel, okay? So first I want to talk to you about your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You need to be aware that the state, the DA's office, is present here at this hearing, and so I advise you to remain silent. You have the right to a lawyer. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you at no cost. All right? Are you aware of the charges that have been brought against you in this indictment?
Yes, ma'am. The DA's office pulled me aside yesterday and they did Mirandize me and tried to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
Okay. I'm referring to the indictment where you have been charged in count 1 with violation of the Georgia RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, as well as in counts 30 and 31, which is for conspiracy to commit solicitation of false statements and writings and influencing witnesses. So those are the charges that have been brought against you in this indictment. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. I believe those are the same ones that the DA's office called and threatened and coerced my in-laws with, trying to get me down here. I think those are the same ones.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Your case has been assigned to Judge Scott McAfee. All right, he's going to be the judge who is assigned to your case, who's going to be handling it from this point forward. I am just handling this first appearance hearing today because I am filling in for the presiding judge. All right? Okay. At this point, I will hear from the state. Is there anything the state needs to add?
Adam Nay with the state, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Floyd, have you retained a lawyer?
I requested one who have been denied, Your Honor.
Okay, so you have spoken with someone from the public defender's office, and you were told that you do not qualify. Is that correct?
Denied representation, yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Floyd, you have the right to then hire a lawyer of your choice, or of course you're always welcome to proceed pro se. But because you do not qualify for a public defender, you have the right to retain a lawyer of your choice. Okay?
I've spoken with several different attorneys for flying out here. The cost is typically between $40,000 to $100,000 just to retain a lawyer for these charges. And then they charge hourly that I cannot afford. I'm not going to put my family in that kind of debt, especially with my daughter. I cannot afford an attorney for something like this.
Okay. Well, Scott McAfee, Judge McAfee will go through the process. If you choose to represent yourself and to not retain a lawyer, he will go through that process and those questions with you. I just want to advise you of your right at this point, that if you wish to hire a lawyer, you have the right to do so. Okay? Okay. All right. Pretrial services. Can you give me any information about Mr. Floyd's criminal history?
Yes, ma'am. I have one prior. It was from May 15th, 2023. It's a Maryland FBI. It was simple assault on a federal officer. And it was given bail supervision for 5 years on charge of simple assault misdemeanor. Nothing further.
That's still an open case, Your Honor. It's not, I do not have a criminal record.
I understand, Mr. Floyd. Thank you. I understand that it's just charges against you. Okay? All right. All right. Okay, Mr. Floyd, the issue of bond is not going to be addressed today. That's going to be addressed by Judge McAfee, who's assigned to your case. But to the extent that you're here in front of a judge, I do find that based on the open charge against you, there are grounds for bond to be denied at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and find that you are a risk to commit additional felonies and a potential risk to flee the jurisdiction. So I'm going to deny bond, but a full consideration of bond will be addressed by Judge McAfee as your case moves forward. Do you understand?
Say something, Your Honor. So the charges brought against me by the federal government were first presented to the state by the FBI. The state decided to not prosecute. On the day they decided not to prosecute, the U.S. attorney in the state of Maryland notified my attorney that they would take up the charges. This charge is a simple misdemeanor, ma'am. I got on a plane. I voluntarily came here. I am already on federal pretrial supervision. I've had no issues with being on pretrial supervision. There's no way that I'm a flight risk, ma'am. I showed up before the president was here.
Okay. I understand, Mr. Floyd. The issue of bond is not going to be decided by me. It's going to be decided by the judge who is assigned to handle your case, okay? This is just a first appearance hearing for a case that's already been indicted. So I was just letting you know that we're not going to have a bond hearing today, but to the extent that you are before a judge, I'm telling you that bond is not going to be issued today. All right?
Then when will that next hearing be, ma'am?
That'll be up to Judge McAfee. All right, Judge McAfee is going to be the one who's handling your case. This is just your first appearance hearing to notify you of your rights and notify you of the charges that have been brought against you.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Okay. All right, well, that's all we're doing today, Mr. Floyd.
What kind, and I'm going to say a cuss word here so everybody listening be prepared. What kind of bullshit is that? I don't care what your political stance is. I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. I don't care. This is a black man who ran an organization, Black Voices for Trump, because if you're a black person, you still have the right to vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for. He even said it there. He voluntarily got on a plane. He flew to Georgia, voluntarily turned himself in before Donald Trump did. Donald Trump, along with a lot of attorneys and a lot of his previous staff, went there, turned themselves in, and they got a bond and they got released. Why is it that Harrison Floyd is the only one that was denied his bond, his due process. He even said, I cannot afford a court-appointed attorney. It's going to cost me $40,000 to $100,000 or more. I can't afford it. Why was he denied a court-appointed attorney? And then you also hear him say that the DA's office pulled him to the side. And you got to wonder what that's about. Why is he the only one left in jail? Why is he the only one that was pulled aside? He wasn't Mirandized, but he was asked questions about what the hell was going on. Again, I don't care where you stand politically, but what was going on with these indictments is bullshit. It's wrong. What kind of America do we live in to where you can be arrested and denied those things? When he voluntarily showed up, what kind of flight risk is he? How are you going to deem him a flight risk? And that judge, oh my gosh, Harrison Floyd, that judge was just, oh, Judge McAfee. She just had this smile, crappy grin on her face about the fact that she could deny this man bail. Like, she was just so thrilled about being able to do that and keep him there. She was happy about it. You could tell just in her face, the way she was just so excited about being able to answer no questions, answer zero questions. Hey, you're denying me bail. You're denying me attorney. Why do I have to sit here? How long is it going to be? What is the next step? And this was on the 25th, 26th. Now it's the 29th. He's been sitting in the Fulton County jail all this freaking time. Up until today. So today, there was a lot of people that raised money. A lot of people that gave money. And petitions were filed. And finally, as of this afternoon, it's Tuesday, August 29th. It is 7:46 right now. As of this afternoon, he was finally released. Listen, if a president is not safe from indictment, look at all the presidents that we've had in the last 20 years, 30 years. Think about all the things that they have done that they should have been indicted for. Look at the current scandal with our current president and his son. Will they be indicted? This isn't a one-sided show. You can't just one-sidedly choose who you're going to indict and who you're going to keep in jail. Going back to my statement from when I opened the show, we have got to wake up. We cannot stand for this. This man has a wife. He has a young daughter. And he's been indicted simply because he was on the telephone. He was on the telephone and he heard a whistleblower during a voluntary statement share her concerns. We're in trouble. We are in trouble. I've said it probably every show. If we cannot trust our government at the top, how are we going to be able to trust our local governments in the communities where we live, where we raise our children, where we and our children and our family are at risk for this nonsense bullshit? It ought to make you angry. It ought to make you want to stand up. And here's the deal. I understand. People don't want to, they're tired of hearing about politics. They're tired of hearing about Donald Trump. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan of Donald Trump. I'm not. I've said that he should sit this out because of the mess that he's in. Whether you agree if he got himself there or not, or whether he should be there, whether he shouldn't be there, whether you like Donald Trump or not, it doesn't matter. This could easily happen on your side of the politics, of the political aisle as well. I don't care. I understand people are tired of hearing about the politics and Donald Trump and our government, but guys, we are at risk. I'm telling you, we're at risk. This could easily happen to you just for simply stating your opinion. We have got to rise up and say right is right and wrong is wrong. So that brings me to my next topic. This is absurd too. This is absurd too. Let me explain to everybody what the Gadsden flag is, in case you're not aware. The Gadsden flag is the yellow flag that depicts a rattlesnake that's coiled up and ready to strike. And beneath the rattlesnake of the flag, you've probably seen it in a lot of places, it has the words, "Don't tread on me." Some modern versions of the flag include an apostrophe, but the flag is named for Christopher Gadsden, a South Carolina delegate to the Continental Congress and the Brigadier General in the Continental Army, who designed the flag in 1775. During the American Revolution War, he gave the flag to Commodore Isaac Hopkins, and it was unfurled on the main mast of the Hopkins flagship, USS Alfred, on December 20th, 1775. 2 days later, Congress made Hopkins Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Navy. He adopted the Gadsden banner as his personal flag, flying it over the main mast of the flagship while he was aboard. The Continental Marines also flew the flag during the early part of that war. The rattlesnake was a symbol of unity of the 13 colonies at the start of the Revolutionary War, and it had a long history as a political symbol in America. Benjamin Franklin used it Gadsden intended that his flag was a warning to the British not to violate the liberties of its American subjects. The flag has been described as the most popular symbol of the American Revolution. Its design proclaims an assertive warning of vigilance and willingness to act in defense against coercion. This has led it to be associated with the ideas of liberty. It is often used in the United States as a symbol for libertarianism, classical liberalism, and small government, for distrust or defiance against authorities and government. And why is that? I think it needs to be flown more these days. This flag has nothing to do with racism whatsoever. But guess what? The Vanguard School in Colorado attempted to expel a 12-year-old child for having that flag. The Gadsden Flag Patch. It's a patch. He had a bunch of patches on his backpack, and one of them was the Gadsden flag. "Don't tread on me," yellow with the snake coiled, ready to strike. The school saw it and they said, "That's racist. That's racism." What the hell are you talking about? That's racism. The boy called his parents, his mom showed up. Watch this video. This is an interview between a staffer at the school and the mom when the mom showed up. Watch this. It's a couple minutes.
It's a historical flag.
So the reason that they do not want the flag, the reason we do not want the flag displayed is due to its origins with slavery and slave trade. That is what was, that's the reasoning behind why we do not want this displayed.
The Gadsden flag.
The Don't Tread on Me.
Okay. Which is the Gadsden flag. Okay. So he's what's going to happen if he doesn't take it off?
He is able to go. I was actually just telling him, like, I was upset that he was missing so much school. I'm like, so I asked if can he just take his stuff out of his bag and go back to class. Like, I just want him to go back to class. The bag can't go back. It's got the patch on it because we can't have that in and around other kids. So that's what I was trying to, and then he said you were close. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with slavery. That's like the Revolutionary War patch that was displayed when they were fighting the British. Like that's the revolution. Maybe you're thinking of like the Confederate flag.
Okay, I am
Is there
just here
history
to
that you
enforce.
tell me?
No, I am here to enforce the policy that was provided by the district.
Okay.
And definitely, you have every right to not agree with it. I mean,
Yeah, because the ACLU says that he's allowed to wear that. If you like go on their website, it's like says in big letters.
All I'm saying is that
Unless there's like a ban on patches, period. Like if you said there's no patches allowed at the school, you cannot display what you think or anything like that, or what cheer or anything like that. I think it's like one-sided, because you allow some patches but not other patches.
Kids have patches like other names and like the American flag on their backpacks.
Yeah. That was like flown during the revolution with, I just don't understand that at all.
So what I can do is
And if you go onto the ACLU's website, let's talk to someone, because I don't want a lawsuit. I really don't.
I can have you speak to Jeff Yoakum again. Okay. And then he can refer you to our person at the district.
Okay.
Because like I said, we're following district policy is what we're doing. Okay. So the last thing I want is him out of class.
Yeah, I know. He
the
takes
his
classes seriously.
Yes.
He studies. He wants to get straight A's. He did that. He made honor roll when he was here before. Yep. He intends to do that again right now, but it's hard because he keeps missing class for this. So
I understand that.
Yeah, and we teach him to always stick up for your beliefs. And you're going over the revolution for 7th grade. The founding fathers stood up for what they believed in against unjust laws. This is unjust.
Okay, like I said, we're upholding.
All right, so I know you're 12 years old. I know you're an AB honor roll. I know you're a good kid. Look at the kid. He looks like a stand-up kid. But we don't want to keep you out of class. But you can't have that crap on your backpack. You can't have American history on your backpack. There's no way. We have to silence American history. You can't have the Gadsden flag on your backpack because that's racist. Why does everything have to be racist? Does racism exist? I know it exists. I have seen racism. As a cop, I have seen police officers be racist. I know racism exists in this country and there's no freaking place for it. But I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. The Gadsden flag is not racist. And to pull this boy out of school because he has a Gadsden flag on his backpack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. American history from our Revolutionary War, you can't have that. And even the kid, he's like, Hey, what about the American flags on everybody else's backpack? I mean, the kid's smarter. He's smarter than the freaking educators. What about the American flags? So is that going to be next? We can't have the American flag? We're in America, but you can't be American. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we teaching these kids? This 12-year-old boy, you're teaching him, hey, you can't display any kind of history. American history. You may believe in that. That may have happened, but you know what? Some people think it's racist, so I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to please everybody. I learned that a long time ago. I learned that with this podcast. I piss people off all the time. Hell, I'm sure this episode's probably going to piss some people off. But listen, you cannot please everybody. And you shouldn't have to suppress American history. You shouldn't have to suppress what got us here because somebody, some idiot, thinks that it's racist. Suppress your beliefs, young boy. I'm sorry you believe in that. Oh, I'm sure if he wanted to cut his genitals off, I'm sure if he wanted to start taking hormone therapy to change his gender, I'm sure that would be okay. I'm sure the school would support that. This is what we're teaching our kids. This is why. I don't care what you think, but these are the very things. This is why we have the troubles that we have, because it's just accepted. People just roll over, and people take this. Oh, we're so sorry that your kid's missing class. I don't want him to miss class, blah, 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 blah. But you pull them out. You're an educator. Man, this stuff grinds my gears, and it should grind yours too. I have spent quite some time moving along. I have spent quite some time coming up with a mission statement for failing justice. I don't plan to be silenced. I don't plan to stop anytime soon. I always want to make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing because it's right. I don't want to be a hero, but I do want to be a voice for those who don't have one. I want to speak truth. I want to speak life. I am a Christian. I believe in God. I have Christian values that are deep rooted within me. And every day, my goal is to be better than I was yesterday. And listen, there's some evil people in this world. People that want to bring me down just because I have this show, because I've told on them. I have busted their lies and their corruption wide open. But I want to speak truth always. And after several weeks, I haven't said anything about this because it's just something that I've been working on, but I want to reveal it here today. I'm going to put it on my website. I'm going to put it on everything because this is the mission statement for failing justice. And here it is. Unearthing corruption with unrelenting determination to secure freedom for the wrongfully convicted and propelling reform in the criminal justice system. Our mission justice, truth, and an unyielding drive for change. That is the mission of Failing Justice. Because I am not here to please anybody. Failing Justice is a vanguard of transformation within the realm of criminal justice. I want this organization, I say our, like I got a ton of people working for me. I don't, but that's the goal. I want this organization to transcend the boundaries of just a podcast. Right? This is my platform right now, but this is a podcast. I want us to be a dynamic force committed to revolutionizing the systemic flaws ingrained in our legal framework. We, as I opened the show and I said, we have to do better. Justice is failing. Failing justice. Justice is failing every single day. And justice has to be restored. And we have to demand accountability. I mentioned Richard Miles on my last podcast, and I still want to get Richard in the studio. Been in contact with him. Tirelessly working to exonerate those that are unjustly incarcerated because of people who want to self-serve, who don't see their calling as being higher. And I truly envision a future where justice is not just an ideal, but an actionable reality. That is what I want. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to have this platform. I'm blessed. I'm extremely blessed. I thank each and every one of you for listening to this podcast, for supporting me, supporting this journey that I'm on. And I would like to say thank you, because it means a lot. It's not easy. I'm a busy man. I'm all over the place. I have a career. I have a business. I have so many things. I have children. And I do this because I know what's happened to me. I know what's happened to people, to other people. I've seen it. And I want change. And I thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. And this is the end of the show for today. Remember to check us out on all the social media platforms: YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You name it, it's out there. Please give us a like. Please give us a follow. And please share these messages that I'm trying to put out. I hope you guys have had a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. Tune in next week for the Failing Justice Podcast.
This is Failing Justice.